Serbian President Alexander Vučić has visited Ukraine for the first time in what could be a realignment with the EU regarding Russia's war against its neighbour.
At least 3 people were killed and 60 wounded in a large-scale Russian drone attack in the city of Kharkiv overnight, with President Zelensky expressing frustration over the lack of international response. Under the new government of South Korean President Lee Jae-myung, anti-North loudspeaker broadcasts along the border are stopped to restore trust with Pyongyang.
Serbian President Alexander Vučić visited Ukraine on Wednesday in what marks his first ever trip to the country. He is scheduled to take part in the Ukraine Southeast Europe Summit in Odessa, Serbia's presidential office announced. According to Euronews sources, Vučić's participation in the summit signals Serbia's realignment with the EU regarding Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Serbia has positioned itself as neutral in the conflict, but Vučić's recent visit to Moscow during the annual Victory Day parade drew sharp criticism from Brussels. His visit was deemed to have contradicted EU membership criteria and to potentially hurt Serbia's accession to the bloc.
At least 3 people were killed and 60 wounded in a large-scale Russian drone attack on the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv overnight into Wednesday. Mayor Igor Terekov said 17 strikes hit 2 districts in just 10 minutes, setting a large apartment building on fire, with 9 children among the injured. Ukraine's Air Force said 85 drones were launched across the country overnight, with 49 neutralized by air defenses. This comes after the death toll from Russian strikes on Kiev and Odessa on Tuesday morning rose to at least 3 people. On Tuesday, President Volodymyr Zelensky expressed frustration at the lack of an international response to the recent escalation. He noted a record number of nearly 500 drones and missiles were launched on Monday night, including some made in North Korea. Zelensky stated that these attacks are hindering all peace efforts.
The King of Spain, Felipe VI, was on Tuesday received in Romania by President Nicolae, where he paid a visit to thousands of NATO troops stationed in Cincu. The Cincu base serves as one of the most important military training centers in Central and Eastern Europe.
The presence of Spain troops in Romania as part of the Alliance battle group is clear proof of Madrid's commitment to collective defense and the deterrence of any threat to regional stability. Together, we will make Europe safer.
The bonds formed here will endure, I am sure, throughout the careers of our military personnel. This is another way of building Europe. In this spirit, and precisely here in Romania, a country that feels every day the effects of the war in Ukraine after Russia's invasion, where I wish to reaffirm Spain's determination to continue our support of the Ukrainian people in defending those fundamental principles and values that we all share as Europeans.
Romania's new president, Nicolae, thanked the king, while King Felipe VI hailed the contributions of Romanians to Spanish society.
Militarii spanioli dislocați în grupul de luptă de la Cincu au avut ocazia să stea de vorbă cu regele Spaniei. Vorbim de aproximativ 200 de militari spanioli care au fost detașați aici în România din toamna anului trecut.
The Cincu battle group is made up of almost 2,000 foreign soldiers, most of them French. The group was established in 2022 after the outbreak of the war in Ukraine as part of NATO's measures to strengthen the security of the eastern flank.
Several hundred people attended a mass in the second largest Austrian city of Graz to mourn the victims of a deadly school shooting. A former student at a high school in the city opened fire, killing 10 people and injuring many more before taking his own life, according to police. There's no immediate information on the motive behind the attack. The 21-year-old shooter, who held no previous criminal record, used 2 weapons to execute the attack, both believed to have been owned legally. Austrian Chancellor Christian Stoker, Vice Chancellor Andreas Babler, and Foreign Minister Beat Meinl-Reisinger all attended the Mass at Graz Cathedral. A candle-lit vigil was also held in the city's main square to commemorate the victims. Dozens of the city's residents attended the event to pay their respects, including police forces who responded to the emergency.
South Korea's military stopped its anti-North Korea loudspeaker broadcasts at the border on Wednesday. The move is part of a new policy by Liberal President Lee Jae-myung, who took office last week to ease tensions and restore trust. This reverses the hardline policies of the previous government, which resumed the broadcasts in June last year after a 6-year pause. The broadcasts started again after a balloon war where North Korea sent rubbish south in response to anti-Pyongyang leaflets sent north. President Lee had argued that the broadcasts caused unnecessary tension for border residents. On Monday, Seoul's government also officially called for activists to stop sending leaflets north. North Korea has not yet commented on Seoul's decision to halt the broadcasts. Despite the gesture, dialogue is seen as unlikely as Pyongyang remains focused on its military partnership with Russia.
The United States and China reached a framework agreement to solve their trade disputes after months of tensions. The talks were concluded in London between the two delegations. Details of the agreement were not made available. On Monday, US President Trump said he would open the Chinese markets to American products.
We want to open up China, and if we don't open up China, maybe we won't do anything, but we want to open up China. It'll be a great thing for China, a great thing for the rest of the world.
Last week, Trump and his Chinese counterpart held a long phone conversation regarding the trade war between the two countries. The latest installment of their dispute began in February, when Trump imposed tariffs on Chinese imports and was followed by a series of announcements of increased tariffs. At their peak, they exceeded 100%.
Elon Musk, the world's wealthiest person, said he regrets some of his posts about US President Donald Trump, following a public falling out on social media last week. Musk's comments come days after Trump threatened him with serious consequences if he tried to punish Republicans who vote for controversial spending bill. The pair became embroiled in a war of words last week after Musk blasted Trump's big, beautiful bill of tax breaks and spending cuts as a disgusting abomination. In a series of posts, Musk warned the president's tariffs could trigger a recession, called for his impeachment, and suggested links between Trump and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Trump responded by saying Musk had lost his mind and threatened to cancel federal contracts with SpaceX and Tesla as part of a broader cost-cutting plan. Following Trump's re-election, Musk led the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, charged with slashing spending across federal agencies. He resigned from the administration last month, citing a desire to return to his business ventures, as well as frustration with the response to his cost-cutting efforts at DOGE.
TikTok star Kabi Lame has left the United States after being detained by immigration agents in Las Vegas on Friday for overstaying his visa. Lame, who has over 162 million followers on TikTok, has not commented on the incident. US authorities confirmed that he was granted a voluntary departure which allowed him to leave without a formal deportation order. His detention comes amid a wider crackdown on immigration by President Donald Trump's administration. The influencer who recently attended the Met Gala is famous for his silent reaction videos. The European debate on minors' access to social networks has begun. 3 European Union member states, France, Spain and Greece, are putting forward the idea of a digital majority, an age below which it would be forbidden to connect to platforms. The aim is to protect teenagers and children from dangerous online content.
Aujourd'hui, dans les conditions d'utilisation de ces plateformes, il y a déjà un âge minimum, c'est 13 ans. Mais le système actuel, on a tous été des enfants, changer sa date de naissance c'est très facile, et donc le système actuel fait que en moyenne les enfants se connectent et se créent des comptes à partir de 7-8 ans. Donc ça doit changer, on a une opportunité à ne pas manquer.
The three countries believe that the algorithms used by social networks expose the very young to addictive content that can lead to increased anxiety or depression. They also argue that excessive exposure may limit the development of certain skills and alter cognitive abilities. The European Union has enacted legislation in the form of the Digital Services Regulation. The text tackles illegal content such as hate speech, terrorism, and child pornography. For industry representatives, new legislation appears premature at this stage.
At this stage, we think that the new rules need to first play out properly. We have not seen all the effects yet. The Digital Services Act for most companies has only entered into force last year. And as I said, we're still waiting for some guidance on the new minor protection obligations. That's why I think it's a little rushed at this stage to already discuss new rules. And I think it's also really important that we take much more into account the reality and the implications for minors in such a crude ban.
The European Commission is currently working on an age verification application. Last month, it also published draft guidelines to protect minors. It proposes measures to verify the age of users or to set children's accounts to private by default. The institution is also conducting investigations against TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook as part of its efforts to protect minors.